When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Well, some trends from Thursday. The Red Sox avoid being swept at home by the Jays. They walk off in 10. The Rockies also avoid a sweep at Coors Field. Adell, Ward, and Mr. Mike Trout all go deep, not once but twice, in beating up on Rays pitching. With that, we welcome you to our latest edition of the Locked On MLB Game Night Show, recently launched and ready to go on this Thursday. Light schedule. He is Lindsey Crosby, host of the Locked On Braves postcast, and you can follow him on the X at Crosby on Baseball. I'm Steve Lennox. I host the Locked On Red Sox postcast for Locked On. You can follow me on Lennox on Baseball. Lindsey, we're together for the first time in a while, but let's get right into it. And, a lot of frustration for Red Sox fans, but they do win the series finale. A lot of Red Sox fans with gray hairs right now, I think. Red Sox win it in 10. Avoid the series sweep against the Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays did not have Vladdy Jr. in the starting lineup on Thursday. What'd you take from this game?
Well, the first thing is, very surprised that Vlad wasn't in there. They came out and said nothing's wrong. This was a scheduled off day. But this game was very, very close, went to extras. And then obviously you had the whole thing of so many replay reviews late. That was the first time in a while where I've watched a baseball game and I thought, this is kind of like soccer. Or sorry. This is kind of like basketball, where the last couple minutes feel like they're taking forever because of replay reviews and stoppages. This game didn't have a lot of great flow to it, but really close match back and forth. And you saw both teams kind of do everything they had to do. They pinch ran for Rafi Devers, right? He got on base in extras. They pulled him out and tried to run for him. Trevor Story goes 2 for 5 with an RBI. Ultimately, entertaining game. The Red Sox needed that win. They did get that win 4-3. I did think Walker Buehler was really impressive. 6 1/3 innings, 1 run on 4 hits, 7 strikeouts. He's struggled so far this year, but this one felt like a lot of his stuff was working. He did that Red Sox thing. He wasn't throwing a ton of fastballs, but it absolutely worked. And it kind of makes you feel like, okay, maybe that deal of the Red Sox was a good deal to pay Walker Buehler.
Yeah, Walker Buehler, like Tanner Houck Wednesday, I thought he should have been able to have the opportunity to get through that 7th inning. The bullpen, Justin Wilson comes in, gives up the inherited run. That was charged to Walker Buehler, but he walked just one, and that was to lead off that 7th inning, then got a fly out. Alex Cora had the hook. He struck out 7 in the outing. And the final 2 games of the series, and really throughout, there was solid pitching on both sides, and I'm really convinced right now that Bassett, Gausman, Barrios really can lead that pitching staff in terms of the starters for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, they've had good pitching for a while. Last year was kind of a down year for a lot of those guys. And this offense is not 100% yet. Dalton Varsho's not in there for your defense. Vlad Jr. had the day off, as you mentioned. But getting that big 3 able to hold down their spots every 5th day, and then whatever you can get out of Max Scherzer. If you can get Max Scherzer back into not prime Max Scherzer form, but into even Scherzer form from a few years ago, it gives you a lot of options when you get into a series that you have to win, or even a postseason series, having 3 or 4 guys you feel comfortable throwing. And that's just not a place that the Blue Jays were last year.
Gabby hosts and previews and does a lot of great stuff, host of Locked On Red Sox. We're going to hear from her in just a moment. Gabby was actually at Fenway as they walked off in the bottom half of the 10th inning. But Lindsey, with the Red Sox, 3 errors their first 7 games, that first road trip of the season through Arlington, Texas, and Baltimore, Maryland against the Orioles. But it was ugly defensively for Alex Cora and his team. 11 errors and going 4-3 against the Cardinals on their first homestand of the season. Cardinals and the Blue Jays.
Yeah, they had 2 more today, throwing error on Trevor Story.
That was a bad one.
Yeah, Wilyer Abreu had a fielding error as well. And the Story error is a little bit concerning. He's a guy who had arm injuries, right? Missed a lot of time because of surgery. And he's being paid a large contract. You've already installed somebody, one of your prospects at second base. He can play center field, obviously, but you've installed Kristen Campbell there at second already. And so if Trevor Story continues to have defensive issues, you're kind of running out of options of where to put him, right? If Marcelo Meyer comes up and takes your shortstop spot, what do you do? Where does Trevor Story go? So not something you want to see. You have to hope it's just a little bit of cold and early season jitters, and he's going to get back into form, because anecdotally, it doesn't feel like he was that bad defensively when he came back last year. He just looked a little bit rusty. But today, he still looks like that rust has affected him a little bit.
Mentioned Gabby, who covers the Red Sox with Locked On Red Sox. She was at the game, all smiles after the Red Sox walked off against the Blue Jays.
Let's go! I am here right now at Fenway Park where the Red Sox just walked it off thanks to Trevor Story. 4-3 Red Sox win. We needed this. This is huge tonight to salvage a game in this series against the Blue Jays, where they lost the first three and won this game. Hopefully some momentum going into the series moving forward. Another big storyline for this game was Walker Buehler having a great outing tonight, going into the 7th inning and pitching a shutout in the innings that he did pitch. Great outing for him. Really happy for the Red Sox. Really needed this win. Go Red Sox, let's go!
Again, that's Gabby, who covers the Red Sox, Locked On Red Sox. She provides great content Monday through Friday, and that's on the Locked On Red Sox YouTube channel as well. One more point, Lindsay, on the Blue Jays, because you mentioned Varsho. This is a lineup, 1 through 5. They're real top-heavy. They're going to need production. It doesn't necessarily have to be consistent production, but they've got to have production at the bottom of the lineup going forward.
Yeah, and it's just something where you kind of look at this team, they haven't really gotten it. Nathan Luke starts in center field today. He's batting 158. Their big offseason acquisition, Anthony Santander, batting 185. Just the Varsho replacement out and left and wrote in 229. They just don't have enough consistent offense when Vlad's not in the game. If Bo Bichette has an off night, he went 1 for 4 today, but he struck out twice. And so they've got to get this fixed. Yes, George Springer's hitting well. He's hitting 429. Given George Springer's history, that's not going to last, right? There's going to be an injury concern there. So they just need this offense to be deeper. Varsho does more for the defense than the offense, but he can help out in both respects. They've got to get more, especially on the days like today where Vlad's not in the game. Although Vlad did check in later in the game for play first base. Ended up getting 2 at-bats and had an RBI. I believe it was on a sac fly in that one.
Yeah, productive out and got the run batted in. One more on the Red Sox. They go to Chicago. They could get healthy offensively against the White Sox in their pitching this weekend. But Garrett Crochet faces his former team. He's scheduled to go in the finale on Sunday.
You never know what's going to happen when that guy goes and faces his former team. They know him just as well as you do, maybe even better. So it's going to be really exciting from a storyline perspective, right? The Sox team that wouldn't pay him traded him to the Sox team that would pay him. You have to think Boston's obviously has a good chance to win, but be careful. You never know what those homecoming games sometimes can do to a guy.
Lindsay, let's touch on Braves home against the Philadelphia Phillies game. Rain delay in the 7th inning, waiting one out. Series even, a game apiece. Game 3 of the series was tied 1-1 when they put the tarp on the field. What have you taken from this first series of the season between the Braves and the Phillies?
As bad as the start has been for the Atlanta Braves, these teams are pretty evenly matched. It was close games, and all of Atlanta won the opener. Philly came back and won game 2 thanks to a 9th inning home run by Trey Turner off of Atlanta's closer. And in this game, when the game stopped at the top of the 7th for rain, 1-1 score, both Jesus Luzardo for the Phillies and Spencer Schwellenbach for the Braves. 1 run allowed, combined total of 13 hits, which is not great. 3 walks, 11 strikeouts. Both these guys navigated around injury rather well. We did obviously see a big hit from Kyle Schwarber every single game in this series. I think he's hit 2 home runs and he has a triple in this series already. A lot of big hits there. But these two teams are a lot more evenly matched than you would think when you look at going into the series and saying, yeah, Philly's 7-2 and Atlanta's 1-8. They're a lot more evenly matched than I think we both expected. And that game is supposedly going to start at some point in time, is supposedly going to restart tonight. They're going to try to get it in because both teams fly out tonight. for games in other cities tomorrow. Really should have been a day game if you think about it.
Yeah, I saw you had that on social media. And, this isn't Red Sox Cardinals from the weekend interleague play. This is two division rivals. I'm surprised they haven't come in and said, hey, you know what? We can resume this game next time we play.
This happened to Atlanta. On Sunday, the Marlins game got rained out, and they didn't even – media was barely to the field, and they went ahead and called it. They said, we're going to make this up as part of a doubleheader when Miami comes back in August. Philly's coming back to Atlanta. I think it's June. It would have been really easy to A, move this game up, B, not play it at all, or C, just call it the top of the seventh, suspend it and resume it when Philly's in town next. And they just decided instead, we're going to wait out. It's been almost 2 hours now of rain delay. They're just going to wait it out and eventually restart the game.
Again, light schedule around Major League Baseball on Thursday, a travel day traditionally around baseball. Stephen Kwan had a day Thursday for the Guardians as the Guardians added to the White Sox misery. We're going to discuss that next.
But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Just Ingredients. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances that have been banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified line to fuel his training and recovery. So visit justingredients.us, use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow just.ingredients on Instagram.
Locked on MLB Game Night. Steve Lennox, Lindsey Crosby, glad you're with us as we do this each and every night throughout the Major League Baseball season. We're going to hear from our White Sox guy, Todd, and our Guardians guy, Justin, here in just a few moments. But the Guardians pick up the victory, win the finale, sweep the series against the White Sox, who have now lost 8 in a row. The misery continues from 2024 into 2025. I believe the White Sox will be better over the course of the season, but they're certainly going to take their lumps.
Yeah, and the lineup that they rolled out today is pretty rough. I mean, it's hard to call that a major league caliber lineup. They acquired a lot of prospects in a lot of these trades. Catcher Kyle Teal, they had a lot of other really good prospects in the organization already, like shortstop Colson Montgomery. But when you don't have a lot of these guys up, it's kind of an embarrassing lineup. And you kind of saw embarrassing performances when they went out there, kind of just getting beat from the jump by the Guardians, and were really never in this game after the bottom of the first inning.
So let's do this. We're going to hear from both Todd with the White Sox perspective, but let's start things off with Justin from the Guardians side.
That's a little more like it for the Cleveland Guardians. A 6-1 victory of the Chicago White Sox. They complete their first sweep of the year. They are 3-0 at home to start this homestand and to start the 2025 season. Justin Latta here from Locked On Guardians. The Guardians got home runs from Kyle Manzardo and Stephen Kwan, had 4 hits, including a homer. Big days from them offensively. Did some really good things there. And Gavin Williams only went 5 innings, but gave you 7 strikeouts, limited the White Sox to 1 run, racked up 16 swings and misses. A little more dominance from Gavin Williams. Like to see that. You like to see the offense spread it out. You stayed away from all of the big relievers in the bullpen. Cantillo was even good. Jacob Junis was good. He's been a great addition to this bullpen. Really helped things out having that extra arm out there, and he's been really fantastic so far. The Guardians have some things to clean up. They'll have to do a little bit better because the schedule gets a little tougher from here on out. You have Kansas City coming in. You have Baltimore coming in. You're going to face the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Twins at some point in the month of April. So the Guardians got by the White Sox, finally finished things off with a more dominant win. They'll have to continue getting better as the schedule gets better in the month of April. But a sweep is good. The Guardians are back to 500, and they're improving. And now they have to find some recipes that get a little bit better as the schedule gets better. Tune in to hear more about that on Friday's Locked On Guardians.
And as Justin mentioned, Kyle Manzardo, 4th home run of the season, 2-run shot in the first inning. Kwan, 2-run shot in the third. That made it 4-1. Guardians take the finale, complete the series sweep against the White Sox, 6-1. White Sox, not a lot of offense. And, the guys, as you touched on, this is an offense that there's not a lot there. But they also, Corey Lee, Michael Tauchman, injured list, Andrew Benintendi, the same. One of the guys, you mentioned Kyle Teal. Another guy that's coming up, he's going to make his major league debut. Chase Mydroth was part of that deal for Garrett Crochet. We touched on him, and he'll go in the finale. But Mydroth comes up, and he's a guy that's going to be expected to be a part of this future for the White Sox lineup.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of pieces. It's just figuring out which ones can come up, where is their play time for them, and who is ready. We've seen some rough starts in AAA. I believe Colson Montgomery scuffling a little bit down there. And so it's going to be, where can we get them in? What positions can we put them in to be successful, right? You don't want Kyle T to immediately go in and have to catch 4 straight games.
Right.
You have a veteran in Matt Tice there right now, so you have somebody who can help him out. But like, you can see a path, right? Like, they've gotten good starts out of Shane Smith, the Rule 5 pick that they have. You can see talent on the way. There is a path out of the wilderness here. And I think that's the first time we've been able to say that for the White Sox in probably the last couple seasons, as they were running out guys like Tim Anderson every single day, trying to still be trying to compete. They've now realized they've torn it down to the studs, but they're starting to come back.
We heard from Justin, and he provided us the Guardians' perspective here on MLB Game Night. Now let's hear from Todd Welter. He shares his thoughts on the White Sox.
Jonathan Cannon continues to struggle, and so does the offense as the White Sox go winless on a 6-game road trip as they lost 6-1 to the Cleveland Guardians. Hello, I'm Todd Welter, host of Locked On White Sox, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Cannon got tattooed for a couple of 2-run blasts, one by left-hander Kyle Manzardo and another by lefty Stephen Kwan. Cleveland exposed Cannon's struggles to get lefties out as the Guardians lineup had just one naturally right-handed bat in the lineup. Teams are just realizing since his stuff is suited to induce weak contact and not miss bats, they just need to sit on the junk he is throwing and pound anything he leaves up in the zone. The Sox offense managed just 1 run on a wild pitch in the first inning. Otherwise, the Sox scored just 3 runs total in 27 innings against the reigning AL Central champs.
Good stuff from Todd right there with the White Sox perspective. Justin Lindsay mentioned that the Guardians, they're going to be home here. They're next up. They've got Tanner Bybee on the hill Friday in the series opener against the Royals. The Royals able to take 3 out of 4 from the Minnesota Twins as they picked up a 3-1 victory in the finale on Thursday. Royals won the first 2, blanked on Wednesday. Final score of Thursday's game, 3-2, as they win in 1-run fashion.
The Royals take the series from the Minnesota Twins at Kauffman Stadium after a comeback performance late in the game. For a while, it seemed like much of the same from this Royals offense, but in a big inning facing the Twins bullpen for the first time, they get Freddie Fermin to get hit by a pitch. Drew Waters making his season debut, singles up the middle. Then with a 1st and 3rd situation, Jonathan India gives his best at bat as a Royal to tie the game. Moments later, it was Bobby Witt Jr. nearly leaving the yard on a 3-run home run to have the sac fly, and the bullpen was able to lock it down. Lucas Erceg, Carlos Estevez ran into a little bit of trouble in the 9th inning, still trying to build up that velo, but the results are there. He's now tied for 3rd in all of baseball in saves with 4 of them so far. His only blown save was the extra inning game in Milwaukee where you have the ghost runner. But the Royals, they're back over 500, 7-6. They get a good outing from Michael Wacha. Up next, a rematch with the Cleveland Guardians in Cleveland.
And that Royals bullpen, 3 2/3 scoreless. The Royals bullpen, when they've had success, including that World Series year, their bullpen has been outstanding.
Yeah, and we saw them obviously feel like it wasn't strong enough last year, going out and making those trades, getting Erceg. And to the point that he made, Erceg's not all the way back yet. But Daniel Lynch is able to get the win in this one, only 2/3 of an inning. It's really been able to kind of tide them over while they've been trying to get the starters stretched out. Michael Wacha is usually good for more than 5 1/3 innings, but they've been piecing it together so far. My question would be with the Royals, how much longer can they do this before the pitching staff gets back to some of what they were doing last season? It does feel like the back end of this bullpen is very good, but the overall depth in the bullpen isn't enough to be covering 4 or 5 innings every single day. So
yeah, and a lot of clubs are in that situation. Yeah. You can't continuously run out 3, 4, 5 relievers every single game.
Atlanta's in that same boat, right? Like all of their non-swelling block starters are going 4 innings, 4 1/3, 4 2/3. And eventually, when you have to throw 5 guys on the back end, somebody's going to make a mistake. That's what happened to Atlanta in their loss on Wednesday. And it did not happen here for the Royals, but it feels like it's a matter of time.
We'll hit segment number 3. We'll hit the Rockies home against the Brewers, wrapping up that series at Coors Field, and the Angels thumping Rays pitching. Details next. There we go. And we are presented by FanDuel. NBA playoffs. Yeah, they're right around the corner, almost here. FanDuel giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action right now. When you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if that $5 bet wins. You are going to love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips, you can even combine live player bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com right now to claim $250 in bonus bets today. All right, segment number 3. Glad you're with us. Locked on MLB game night. 6 games total. We've hit on 4 of them so far. Third segment. And let's get in. This is the Rockies. Any day the Rockies can win a game, I guess we celebrate. Colorado able to pick up the win against Milwaukee at Coors Field on Thursday, Lindsay, and again, avoid the series sweep. Brewers had outscored them 24-3 over the first 2 games of the set.
This is a classic Coors Field victory, right? Where one of your relievers comes in, you think you've got it in the bag. In the 8th inning, Colorado scores 5 runs, sticks Joel Payamps with the loss, his first loss of the year. By the way, his ERA now 16.88. Just absolutely the thing that you want to see here. And this was all like they thought they were going to do well, getting a new starter in Quinn Priester, starting for the first time for Milwaukee, doing it in Colorado. Not a very pleasant place for pitchers to make their debut. They thought they were going to make it happen early. Instead, they made it happen late.
Brenton Doyle touched him up for a home run early on, but Priester did a nice job. Traded earlier this week, making his debut for Milwaukee. They needed a starting pitcher. They go to the Red Sox, complete that trade. Doyle 5 RBIs in the game, and he was a big part late for them with a 5-run 8th inning. He had a 3-run double in that 8th inning. Rookie Zach Veen also had an RBI double. From the Brewers' perspective, let's hear from Chuck.
Hi, everybody. Chuck Freeman with some instant reaction following the Brewers' loss in Colorado. Still took 2 of 3. The bullpen had been pitching well until Payamps got shelled for a second time this year. Gave up 3 rockets off the wall. Saw his ERA balloon up to 15. Second bad outing for him. Brewers also offensively, when they tied at the top of the 8th inning, man, they had a chance for just a huge inning there and really let the Rockies off the hook. Otherwise, it might have been the Brewers waltzing away with this one. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on tonight on the next edition of Locked On Brewers. We'll get into Rhys Hoskins as well. Disappointing again today. He left the go-ahead runner over at third, striking out. And, of course, we're going to talk about the third base spot. I mentioned about Monasterio calling him up. Some of you guys don't think that's too good of an option. We'll get to all that coming up a little bit later on tonight on Locked On Brewers.
All right, Chuck, thank you very much. Lindsay, we get into our final game from Thursday. Angels-Rays down in Tampa, Florida, George M. Steinbrenner Field. Looking forward to seeing that ballpark on TV. I don't know that they have a lot of national games, but the Red Sox will be there on the back end of this upcoming road trip.
Braves are there this upcoming weekend. So there you go.
Yeah.
Both of our teams get to see it for the first time.
And maybe the offenses really get going. And Sacramento and Tampa right now, it seems like the balls are flying out. Interesting one here. Angels take the finale, 11-1. Adell, Ward, and Mike Trout all homer twice in the victory. Zach Littell did not have a good 5th inning. In fact, Jordan Adell touched up Rays pitching for 2 home runs in that big 5th inning for the Angels.
How often do you get to bat around and hit home runs twice in the same inning? That's just absolutely wild to me. And it was all over the lineup, right? Ward was leading off. He went 3 for 5 with 2 runs. Mike Trout's batting. I think he was batting third. He had the 2 home runs. Adell's in the 8 hole. He had the 2 home runs. Logan O'Hoppe did not have any home runs. He had a double, but he's batting, I think he's batting 5th, and he goes 3 for 5. So just spread across the entire lineup, and that's a way to put up 11 runs on somebody.
Yeah, Zach Littell, 4 home runs, 4 of the 6 allowed by Rays pitching, gave up 7 earned runs, drops to 0-3 on the season. On the flip side, for the Angels, Jose Soriano gets the run support, gives up just an earned run over 7 2/3 innings. I'm starting to really pay attention to the Angels right now.
Mm-hmm. Soriano was better than I thought he was going to be. The splitter looked like it was working today. And you can see the pieces here. Like it's still heavily dependent on health. Like that is the big caveat with any team that has Mike Trout right now, right? Still dependent on health. But if you think about the offense they have between Trout, the power hitters, Ward had the 2 home runs. Jorge Soler was only 1 for 5 today, but he's obviously been known for his power. O'Hoppy's been on a hot streak. Kyron Paris, the rookie, I think he's batting 7th today, playing second base. He's had one of the best starts in the American League history as far as home runs and stolen bases are concerned. This team, when everybody's healthy, this team has a lot to really like. The question is just going to be, can they keep it going when they're playing 9 games in 10 days and guys are a little banged up? Can they keep this going? Because the depth isn't really there. But the top-end talent can hang with anybody. Yeah,
Lindsay, you mentioned the Braves now. They'll be heading down to Tampa. They'll play the Rays over the weekend. Rays ended a 5-game losing streak Wednesday. Again, as we touched on, lose the finale against the Angels on Thursday. They've dropped 6 of 7. You score 5 or more runs against the A's right now, you've got a pretty good chance to pick up a win.
Yeah, it feels like you're just in a situation where these teams are not able to score enough runs. And when you look at the roster, they should be able to score more, and they just can't do it. And because of that, you have plus these minor league parks, you never know what's going to happen in these converted minor league parks. And I believe it was one of Trout's home runs was that classic 1 of 30. It was a home run in George Steinbrenner Field and nowhere else in baseball. And it was a short shot down the right field line. My first thought was, how is that a home run here and not a home run at Fenway with the pesky pole? But these ballparks play even smaller down the lines than Fenway does down to right field. So just absolutely anything can happen. I'm kind of mentally grouping in these 2 minor league parks with playing in Colorado, where offensively anything can happen. Your pitchers are going to hate it for the weekend, but it's going to be exciting for the fans to watch.
That pretty much wraps us up for Thursday, April 10th, going around the diamond here on Locked On MLB Game Night. I did this when we hosted to open up last week. I'll give you the final swing here. Your final thoughts.
There's no reason, one, that Braves Phillies game should not have been a day game, simply because both teams had to travel. But I do like that MLB made sure that even on a short schedule day, we had games during the daytime, because I feel like sometimes MLB drops the ball and doesn't give us games at noon when there's no other sports on. So shout out to MLB for getting the overall schedule right, but that rain delay kind of just put a damper on everything for me.
Hopefully we have a full 15 when the games wrap up Friday night around Major League Baseball. As always, we encourage you to follow the Locked On MLB YouTube channel. Also follow the podcast as well. Lindsay, we'll see you Friday night.
Thanks, Steve.
That does it for us. Red Sox, Rockies, both avoid series sweep, 6 home runs for the Angels on Thursday.